I'm Nikki Buyna. I'm the director of the English department here at Full Sail. I am so excited to do this session with you guys because I got a sneak peek yesterday and get excited because there is so much to learn. I'm honored to have one of my favorite people, brand strategist, Hall of Famer, Phil Pallen here for this session where you're going to talk about branding and you're going to talk about Adobe Express, and he's going to really lead you on this journey. And you know how you'd have your notes pulled up and then something changes? Because that's totally what just happened to me, so I apologize. So has anyone seen any of Phil's sessions this week? Because I know there's been a few of them. You've been in them? Yeah, what did you think? Give me some feedback. Incredible? Did you learn about branding? Those are the sessions you've attended? Okay, awesome. So you know Phil graduated here in 2011, Entertainment Business Master's program. He immediately jumped into the world of branding upon graduation. He's been involved in leading branding for some, major international media. He's had appearances on CNN, Access Hollywood, The Daily Mail, Entertainment Tonight. Like, he's been all over. He's evolved into an expert that we all know and love here at Full Sail, and he comes back and he gives to this school all the time. He's helped hundreds of clients promote their brands. A shark on Shark Tank, don't know if you knew that, and a contestant on Project Runway, one of my favorite shows, MasterChef Junior, White House staff, just a little bit of everybody everywhere. And exciting, just found out this today, but he's a global ambassador for Adobe Express, which he's going to be talking about today. So that is incredible. I'd also love to shout out his podcast. I'm not sure if you've checked it out, but he and Lauren do an incredible job on brand therapy, and there's lots of great advice there for you. So I can only imagine how excited you are for this session, just as I am as excited for it. And I am going to introduce, and it is my honor to bring out Phil Pallen.
Hello, friend. Can I bring you everywhere I go to do that intro? That was so nice. Nikki, I want you back on stage with me at the end. We'll do a Q&A. I want to welcome everyone here. There's a lot of places you could be, but you're here with me right now, and I see all of your beautiful faces, those of you in the room and also streaming online. Thank you. How's Hall of Fame going so far? Having fun? We're going to continue the fun train today, and I'm going to talk about something that I'm super, super passionate about. The first thing is coming back here for Hall of Fame. It means a lot to me to get to spend the time we do together face to face. Every year I come back, that timeline extends, right, from the moment that I graduated to now, but I still feel and relate and empathize with the stress and the pressure of how it feels to build something to show for yourself, aligned with your passion, to hopefully land, not hopefully, because we're not hoping, we're going to do it, to land that dream opportunity, that gig. For years, I've been coming back to Hall of Fame and doing all kinds of fun stuff on stage. I would brand Hall of Famers. One year I grabbed a student, an international student, brought her up on stage, and we built a brand live. And that was really super cool and exciting. I think my slides are not updating, so let me go ahead and close this and see. How we doing? It's like a little freeze frame. Do you guys see my video in the back by chance? Because this is my first slide, but I've since moved on. I may need some tech help, if possible. This is different than what's shown here. So if someone can help me, that would be fantastic. Because hopefully, you guys will be able to see. Hold on, let's just see. Give me 2 seconds, guys, to see if maybe this got unplugged. I'm going to unplug and replug. Too bad I'm not good at singing or dancing. Here we go. There we go. Okay, we're back, guys. We're back. Thank you. So as I said, I love coming back here, and I've done so many fun things on stage. I've branded Hall of Famers. You may have seen my segment with Fernando, Leslie Brathwaite, two very popular gentlemen on this campus. And I also one year brought up an international student, and we built a brand live. There's going to be no exception today. We're going to have some fun. I am planning to brand this year one of our incredible inductees. I'm not going to tell you who yet, because I literally chose one of them at random. My purpose, my mission today is a little bit different. In years previous, I would stand here and I would give you my process, and I would do so, but it was kind of challenging, right? You know, for me to tell you exactly how to do this yourselves, because it's tough and it's time-consuming. What I'm super excited about is how design has become democratized for you as a student, specifically with what you have access to from being a student here at Full Sail. Every one of you have what's called Launchbox. You've got a sexy MacBook Pro. You've got Creative Cloud as part of that. Most of you on campus, almost all the students here. And as part of your Creative Cloud subscription, you have Adobe Express Premium. Adobe Express is my favorite platform, browser-based and mobile app, to create standout content quickly. And it's my mission today to show you how you're going to be able to position, build, and promote your brand right now so that you can increase the chances that you're going to stand out for that dream gig. Sound good? Yeah. Let's get to work. Let me introduce you to Adobe Express. Ooh, we're gonna have some fun. So what I'm gonna put on screen is a QR code that you can scan. This is gonna bring you to a link where you can actually install. I'm sure most of you have your mobile device with you. Some of you may have a computer at home. Adobe Express is browser-based. It's also a mobile app. You are able to scan this QR code, and that will bring you to the sign-up page. Again, if you are in our Full Sail fam, chances are you have Creative Cloud subscription as part of being a student here. I should also mention that staff and faculty also have access to this, and staff are able to request it if they don't have it. This will bring you to a link where you can download the app if you don't already have it. I'm never going to say, by the way, in my sessions, get off your phone. That's rude. I say get on it and start designing. And as we move through the material today, we're going to brand one of our inductees live. I want you guys to be using your phone. I want you to be checking out the app, and I think you're going to have some fun. So this is your last chance. Going to move to the next slide. So grab that QR code, grab a photo, and we will keep on trucking on. Here's what we're going to do today. We're going to get to work. We are going to build your dream brand. We're going to do it for one of the inductees. And it's my mission that this is going to help you land your dream career. My process for branding falls in 3 stages. The first, we position your brand. And we're going to do this very quickly today. We're going to spend the most time together on that second stage, building something to show for your brand. Within this category, we'll talk about photography, both brand photography and stock photos. We'll also design a logo together in just a few minutes using Adobe Express. We're going to talk colors. I'm going to give you an amazing tool that will help you make decisions quickly when it comes to color. We're going to talk icons, and I'll explain this concept of sub-branding. Finally, we will make a website, a web page in this case, using Express. And if we have time, we'll even promote this project. I'll do a live demo in Express, and then we'll have time for Q&A. Sound good? Excellent. Now you know what's coming up. Let's start with positioning your brand. This is the only thing we'll do outside of Express today. I think it's worth spending a few minutes on this idea of crafting your brand sentence, your personal brand statement, or sometimes people will call it your elevator pitch. While this isn't in Express, this is a free worksheet I have available as a download on my website. I share this all the time. In fact, I got to give a shout out to Full Sail students this week. I have been so incredibly impressed in every session with the questions you've been asking and the research you've done on Hall of Famers, on subjects that we're talking about. You guys have been so incredibly impressive this week. This tool I've made and I share often. It will help you craft your elevator pitch. Had a great student that came up to me yesterday and said, Phil, I've been trying to write my brand sentence and I would love your help. I said, make sure you're streaming tomorrow because I will literally give you the formula on how to sum up your brand in one sentence. This is it. I am a, insert your title, so in my case, I'm a brand strategist who helps, insert audience, then insert a verb, an action word, and then finally insert the value, okay? That's the formula. And this worksheet that I have, again, it's on my website. It's available for download for free. The link is in the corner. This is going to help you write your brand sentence. And we're going to look at an example. I'm going to show you what we're going to do today, because I love having an example. And this is kind of my thing, coming back from Hall of Fame, and choosing someone to brand on stage. We're doing it today. So I decided to go over to the Hall of Fame website, click on the link to see our inductees, and have a little scroll. I'm going to select someone literally at random. Our lucky candidate today is Mr. Brandon Blackwell. So the first thing I did was I looked at his bio on the Full Sail website. And I thought, could I craft some words here that help me at least distill this down into one sentence? So let's take a look. I often say as a disclaimer to my clients, when we go through this exercise of distilling your brand into one sentence, I'll start that process, but I encourage my clients to take that further, right? And also be open to that evolving over time. It can be really challenging to sum up all the components of your brand in one sentence, okay? I would challenge you to make sure that you don't try to ambitiously describe everything you do in that one sentence, because it's going to be a long sentence. There's really power in saying who you are and why people should care with brevity, with specificity. There's a lot of power in the confidence, right, of saying that, knowing that you probably won't get everything in that single sentence, and that is okay. So let's look at the sentence that I have written on the fly for Brandon. We're going to start this process just from the bio that I had available to me. So Brandon, this is his sentence. I'm an audio engineer who helps iconic artists create perfect mixes for live events. If Brandon is my client, I'd say, Brandon, what do you think? Let's start with this and let's workshop it. He may have some ideas on a few words there that we would tweak until we're really happy with that. Can't you imagine a sentence like this on the homepage of his website? So it tells his ideal audience or his website user exactly who he is and why they should care. Brandon is also an author. He's a lot of things. He's a very successful, and I might add, a very kind gentleman. But again, we got to make some decisions. There's power in being specific, and this is the brand sentence we're going to rock for the purpose of today's demo. That link for that worksheet, once again, is in the bottom right corner. We're going to keep on rocking. I feel good about how we positioned Brandon's brand today. Now, if I'm working with him one-on-one, the process is going to be a little more in-depth, but we're doing a quick demo today. I feel good about how it's positioned, so let's start to build something to show for Brandon's brand. Now, normally, I might pair him with a photographer, and we'd plan a photo shoot to get some new photos. I often say if you're building your brand, one of the most important steps of the build is photography. And ideally, we're getting new photos, updated photos, something that feels exciting for your audience, but also exciting for you. It's no fun to use photos from years ago that everyone has already seen. That's like wrapping a gift with old wrapping paper. Photos are hugely important as we build our online brand because we're working towards achieving consistency between the in-person experience and the online version of ourselves. Right? This week we have the privilege of being face-to-face. I get to meet, hopefully, all of you. I get to listen to what you say, content, and I'll remember how you, and only you, share that information, which is personality, That's your secret weapon. So given that we don't have a huge amount of time, I don't even have Brandon here in person, he's off at another session, I gotta get images fast, so I'm gonna go to Google Images. I'm gonna type in his name. I'm obviously gonna ask him permission to use photos before I go and use them. Brandon Blackwell is also, I think, a Jeopardy contestant, so that put a little wrench in my plans. I was like, okay. But right away, just looking at the images I have available to me quick, I'm able to pull some images that I really like to represent his brand. And we'll talk about why I'm choosing the ones I'm choosing. I also went to his existing website. Thankfully, he's got a little gallery here of photos of him that are awesome. These make great brand photography. The reason I, by the way, went to Google Images was to reinforce to all of you, let's not overthink this. Most importantly, let's work with what we have right now. We can always make it better later. But let's not wait for it to be perfect. Let's start now and iterate and improve gradually, right? I get it, you're students. If you've got a friend in class or on campus who's a good photographer, keep them close. Otherwise, let's build something using what we have now, right? I chose these photos because I think they are awesome to represent Brandon's personal brand. Why did I choose these? I didn't choose a headshot. Headshots don't tell us much about your brand. I want to see Brandon in action. I want to see the environment of his element, his environment. I want to feel like I'm there watching him. I want to feel like I'm there with him. There's so much power in that when it comes to branding, seeing you in your element, your environment. So that's why I selected these. I often start the branding process, the build, with photography because it inspires so many other steps that come right after. You'll see this in action. Now let's hop over to the next photo that we're going to try to find. So we feel good with the brand photos that we have. Now let's talk about stock photos. What would we need stock photos for? I describe these uses as secondary images that you might use to enhance or complement your brand or content. A great idea for all of you would be to have a blog, right? We don't want to just see your portfolio of all your best projects, edited and filtered, all the best ones for your potential employer or opportunity provider or gatekeeper. You know, we're going to impress them with your portfolio, but we want to also impress them with your ideas. A blog is an amazing way to share your perspective, your opinion, right? And show us that you know what's happening in your industry now and you have an opinion, a perspective, a stance. Stock photos are perfect for images like this. Obviously, you don't have a photographer following you around all the time to capture every moment. I hopped into Adobe Express, selected photos, and from there I have the option to either upload a photo or I can choose from millions of amazing stock photos. How awesome is this? In Adobe Express, there's an integration with Adobe Stock. You can access photos from the Adobe Stock royalty-free collection directly in Adobe Express. Without having to go to the stock photo website, you can do it directly from Express. Let me remind you, everyone in this room, and likely if you're watching and you're a part of the Full Sail fam, or you have Creative Cloud subscription, you have access to Adobe Express Premium. If you're not in our family here, you can access Adobe Express free. So this is a tool. The tool that I'm using today to build Brandon's brand is accessible to everyone. And that brings me so much joy. So I pulled some photos, some stock photos that I think are going to make for great thumbnails for a blog post. Maybe I'm creating a carousel on Instagram that might summarize Brandon's upcoming concerts or tour dates, let's say. Again, these are some photos that I have permission to use that I can use as part of Brandon's content or his website. So let's keep trucking along. This next part is fun. You're not going to believe me when I tell you that we're going to design a logo in just a few minutes. So my next favorite tool that will get us designing in Express is called the Adobe Express Logo Maker. This is what it looks like, and that's the link, by the way, in the corner. Step number 1, tell us about your logo. So the nature of my business, the name of the business, and if you've got a slogan, you can add it there. So my audio production business is called Brandon Blackwell. We'll choose in the next step between 4 different styles: bold, elegant, modern, or decorative. I think Brandon's a bold guy. Next, we'll choose an icon. We'll start with a keyword there, and we'll have a look at really thousands, I think sometimes millions of beautiful icons that you can access in this database. Shapes, really, that we can incorporate in the design. I'm going to find one that I like. Brandon's initials are BB. It's kind of like mine, PP. So there's some cool symmetry in design that we can think about. Step number 3, choose a style that you like as a starting point, right? This is going to get us actually a starting point that we can tweak from there. We can modify colors, text, layout, width. You'll see it in action in a moment. Nice choice. So I love this icon for Brandon. It's kind of got a retro vibe. I'm going to make some tweaks from here, but right away I can click color, font, to toggle through some different styles that Adobe Express, the logo maker, is giving us, again, to get us started with a design. If any of you have tried to design your own logo, you end up standing there looking at a blank canvas for a little while going, where do I begin? It's not easy. The whole point of this platform, and in this context with logos, is to get you started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop over now into Express, and I'm going to make some tweaks to this until I'm satisfied with what we have. You as students, you as fresh, recent grads, do not need an intricate, fancy logo to get started. In fact, you could put your name for now in a great font and worry about those other steps, those other elements, like having an awesome portfolio, taking the time to create content, share your ideas in the form of a blog. That is more important than having something super fancy to start with. So I'm in Express. It even makes recommendations on different typefaces and fonts based on the design that I'm working with. Again, this is supposed to make your life easier, and that's exactly what it does. So let me show you. I made a few little tweaks. I adjusted the line weight on the circle that went around the icon, and I chose a typeface that I'm happy with. I saved 2 versions of the logo, a JPEG, which has the background built into it, as well as a PNG, which retains transparency. I'm going to want to probably have a light version of the logo and a dark version of the logo, depending on how I'm going to use it. And you'll see it in action here in a moment. That is the Adobe Express Logo Maker, one of my favorite tools. You can probably see now why this year is different, the fact that we have access to this amazing tool. As I said, I would stand in here years previous and tell you how to do it, but I couldn't necessarily walk you through step by step using a tool that all of you had access to. So we're feeling good about the logo that we have. Now let's move on to color. Color can be tough because there are literally millions of them. How are we supposed to make decisions on what colors to use in our brand when there's so many to choose from? I'll give you some parameters today. Let's start with a tool that I absolutely love, that is free, that you have access to, outside of Adobe Express, but it complements this platform well. It's called Color, Adobe Color. So the URL is color.adobe.com. Here we can start with some palettes, and we can toggle through color harmony rules. So all of the ones, if you've ever taken art class, these might be familiar to you, or design classes. It'll give us here ideas on different rules that we can apply to make some decisions. But I think the most fun feature in this is the ability to extract a theme from a photo. I talked a second ago about the importance of good brand photography. Let's work with what we have, but let's make sure what we have is inspiring for the rest of the process. I absolutely love this photo of Brandon. Look at how awesome this color palette is, which is being derived from some of the shades in this image. Let's talk for a second about color. One of the questions I get asked the most is, Phil, how many brand colors should I have? I'll give you a rule, but just know that as soon as I give you the rule, I'm the first to break it. I'll give you a light suggestion, but again, you can modify this, and I sometimes even don't follow this rule. Generally, in fact, this palette doesn't quite follow the rule, but I'll explain. I generally choose up to 5 colors for a brand, And those colors are a version of white, a version of black, a light, a dark, and an accent color. And I'll say that again. A version of white, which could be a pure white as a hex code, that's hashtag FFF, that's pure white. In my personal brand, for example, if any of you have consumed my content on Instagram, is my favorite platform, also YouTube, also lots of projects that I have in my portfolio on my website, I don't actually use a pure white in my brand. I use a very light shade of gray. And so that's an example of choosing a white or a version of white. That's step number one. Then we want a version of black. Typically, my style with branding, I don't do a pure black. It's very harsh on a computer screen, although that's starting to evolve now with dark mode on many of your devices. I typically go with like a dark charcoal. It's a little bit easier to look at on a computer screen. That's a version of black, okay? Moving right along, we have a light color that lives nicely between that accent and that version of white. This awesome shade to start with that Adobe Color is suggesting would make a great light shade. Then you want a dark color. That burgundy at the end would be an awesome dark. It would live really nicely with the black that we talked about. Finally, for that fifth color, we want an accent. Any of these middle shades would be awesome accent colors. Again, so this tool might not give you the perfect palette to start with, but it's certainly helping you make decisions. I find when I use this tool, I'll find one or two shades that I absolutely love, and I'll start with those and make some tweaks to fill in the blanks. Once again, a white, a light, an accent color. By the way, the less you use the accent color, the more impact it will make when you do use it. So typically, whatever I decide as that accent color, I'll use as buttons on a website where I want to draw someone's attention and call to action, something in, an action that I want them to take. A white, a light, an accent, a dark, and a version of black. All good on that? Let's keep rocking. So I'm going to take the colors. For this demo, I'm just going to use the one that Adobe Color gave me, and I'm going to load them into one of my favorite features in Express, which is the Brands tab. You know I'm going to love this. The ability to upload your logos, in this case, multiple logos. We may want to use the transparent version of Brandon's logo, as well as the mark on its own, that icon. That might be cool as a watermark in the corner of an image, or maybe the browser icon for his website. We'll definitely want to use that. Maybe a profile photo for his company on LinkedIn, for example. Once we've got our logos loaded in, we can add our color palette as well as our fonts. Fonts can also be tricky when it comes to decision-making for a brand. You typically want a heading style and a body style, and those can be different. Typically, they're different, although I say that out loud, and even my own personal brand, it's the same font for heading and body. So as soon as I give you rules, I break them. What's awesome in Express, I won't demo this, but on your own, you can click More Fonts, and there's a little hyperlink that appears that says Suggested Font Pairings. Obviously, this is Adobe Express. One of the things that makes it so amazing is the integrations it has with all of the other Adobe platforms and apps and features that we know and love. Libraries. We talked about Adobe Stock. Also Adobe Fonts, which is the best library, font library online. So you can have access to those from Express. If you've got your own brand font, you can upload it into your brand kit. We can then go into more detail on defining how we want our brand to show up in every content type, web pages and videos. We can create a light, a medium, a dark color scheme. This in action is showing you this kind of sophistication that we're really always used to with whatever Adobe creates. The difference is that traditional Adobe apps, Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, are designed for design pros. This is actually a tool for people that are not designers, right? This is democratizing our access to these tools with the pressure that we have on all of ourselves to create a lot of content quickly. So when your brand is all set up in Express, it's going to make it really easy to access this and apply these decisions we're making quickly on whatever you're designing. So now let's talk icons, sub-branding. We're not just branding the name of your business, which in many cases you're building personal brands, but we also want to brand something about you that's exciting and unique, about the way you do what you do. So in this case, I started a new project. I duplicated the logo that we designed for Brandon. I want to keep consistent the circle weight so that we'll create a little icon set to represent the different, let's call them access points to Brandon. When I'm creating sub-brands, I'm branding something about you that's unique, something about the way you do what you do. When we started this presentation, I showed you 3 icons: position, build, promote. That's an example of a sub-brand of mine, the process by which I follow to walk my own clients through the process that we're walking through today. I told you we would circle back on all the other things that Brandon is. With confidence, we decided on audio engineer. Could be audio mixer, it could be a variety of things. Again, I don't have the privilege of having him here in the room with me because he's a busy guy today, okay? So we're making some decisions. In this case, I know that he's also an author. He's very passionate about this. He has an incredible project, a kid's book actually, that introduces kids to the world of audio production. It's super cool. This is an example of sub-branding. Brandon is the overarching brand. These are the access points or the sub-brands that lead us to him. I want you all thinking about what could we sub-brand within your personal brand. This increases the likelihood that you'll stand out, that your ideal audience, your user, hopefully the person who hires you, remembers more about you, something unique about you. So we've created some icons using shapes in Adobe Express. That's what you watched me do there. Very quickly, I accessed the shapes icon and create a little icon set. Typically, when I do that, I should mention, I try to choose icons that have a similar weight so that they all live together well. Let's keep going. That's them in action, actually. So kept the same line weight. I generally chose some icons that live well together. And obviously, I'm not limited to just 3. For this demo, I chose 3, but I would sit with Brandon, if he was my client, and say, what are all of these access points? If I'm working with a jewelry designer, it could be the names of the different collections of the products that they have. If I'm working with a consultant, it might be the different ways in which I can work or hire that individual. I have branded over 354 people in 30 countries. I think we're up to 33 countries in 11 years. But who's counting? Me, I'm counting. I've always found something interesting about every client, regardless of industry or level of fanciness. Even some clients that come to me and want to build something from scratch, I always take the time to take that extra step and figure out what makes you interesting and how can we organize that visually in a system that's going to make an impact on someone. We're clear on that? Those are icons or sub-branding, and you can do that directly in Express. Let's keep going. This is fun. Now we're going to make a web page. I call this website, I might be over-exaggerating there, but within Express as it is right now, you can create a web page. Again, we're working within what we have. You can always build something more advanced later in a platform like Squarespace I often use, or Wix. I know we've got a lot of students that are using Wix on campus as part of your projects. That's great. Express will let you create a web page in a few minutes. I always love this part of the process because the website or the web page, my clients start with a one-page website. Sometimes that's what I'll create fairly quickly to be able to build the rest of the website offline or not linked while we have that live. It could be a temporary page that says website coming soon, or it tells us a little bit about you, and that gives me some time to build in behind that full website. You're watching in a few minutes using some of the parameters that exist in Express, specifically the web page creator. There are existing content blocks that allow you to add images, text. I can add stock photos. I can upload my own brand photography in this case. I went over to Brandon's existing website and grabbed some copy, and I can paste that into here very quickly. Again, this is probably not going to be the best solution for a full, comprehensive website, but I want you guys to see the power and the ease of creating something quickly to show proof of concept. You'll notice I don't treat you any differently than I would treat my clients. I fully believe every single one of you here in this room or watching has the ability and the power to show proof of concept. This is exactly what you need to win over these people that are going to give you this opportunity, right? That are going to hire you, that are going to give you that leg up, that's going to open up this world. So I love this tool because the idea of creating a website or a web page is pretty overwhelming, but Express, it's not going to let you customize it, to a crazy degree, but it's going to help you make decisions quickly to get something up, to get something started, and you can continue to iterate and improve and modify that until you're satisfied. By the way, we're ahead of schedule. I said very ambitiously that we'd do this in 45 minutes. We're at 37 minutes. Overachiever, yeah, exactly. So here's how I literally gave myself 5 minutes when recording this demo, okay? I was like, what can I make in 5 minutes? This is what I made. That image I told you I absolutely love of Brandon is what we would call the hero image up top. That brand sentence that we wrote together could actually go over top of that hero image, or it can sit right there and tell his ideal audience exactly who he is. I might decide to write the whole website in first person. I typically communicate on my website and my content in first person. I like the directness of that. It complements or it matches my personality in real life. Sometimes if I'm working on a more formal brand, I'll keep it in third person. An argument can be made either way, first or third. People always have a different opinion on this. I say both potentially can work. There was this awesome video from Sennheiser, the audio company. They had actually done a really cool series with Brandon, so I thought I would throw up that video, again, in 5 minutes on his website. You can aggregate video here if you've got some of your portfolio projects or interviews or films you've worked on. All of that can go on your web page. Again, this is the web page creator in Adobe Express, which all of you have access to today. I'm going to put this QR code up one more time. This is going to get you into Express if you're not in there yet. If you don't have it on your phone, you can download it. I've tried a lot of tools out there, browser-based tools, graphic design tools, and also apps. Apps are usually not great, but the app from Express is absolutely awesome. Every time I'm using it, I'm shocked by what you can do, literally tactile from your phone. It's really, really incredible. It just feels nice to be able to stand here and give you guys not only the process, the strategy to build your brand, but also this incredible tool that you do not need to pay extra for. You already have access to it, and that just brings me so much joy. I'm going to show you one quick little demo actually over in Express. If we wanted to, I love it, we're getting to Q&A soon. Get your questions ready, we're coming up. If I wanted to design something, let's say, since we have those extra minutes for Brandon to, announce his new website, announce that he's being inducted today into the Hall of Fame, whoop, whoop. I would hop over to Express. Obviously, in this case, I'm on desktop. I can choose from popular designs here. If I want to see more, I can click View All. Also, something really cool. Oh, we don't see it. Hold on. I have like 3 monitors at home, so it might be putting us over on a different... There we go. Okay, this is going to be interesting because I can only see it here. We're going to work with it. There we go. So when I click this plus sign, I'll do that again. So we can choose from popular design types here. If I want to see more, I can click View All. I also have the ability in Express to use what are called quick actions. These are things that you often have to do, but you're like, what platform or app should I open to do this quickly? Now you can open Express for it. Resizing images, removing backgrounds with additional features that allow you to tweak that. It's not just a single click and done. You can do it, and then you can actually tweak that until you get it just so. converting image file types, converting video file types, trimming videos, PDF quick actions like converting, combining, organizing as well. One of my favorites that I used just this morning was this QR code generator. You can choose a style, a color, obviously enter a URL here to very quickly create a QR code. So you'll have access to these quick actions from here. You also, one of my favorite things in Express are all of the beautiful Adobe level design templates. That's one of my favorite things is just, I mean, there's not an ugly design in here. If there were, trust me, I would say it. There are thousands of templates in here that are absolutely beautiful. And most importantly, let's just click this one, which is for Instagram stories. This gets us started. Instead of standing here staring at a blank canvas going, where do I even begin? A template provides you parameters to make decisions quickly. You can delete the elements you don't want. You can modify the text, choosing from fonts here, font recommendations down here. One other super cool feature, I'll show you under the design panel, we can single click apply brand. So we went through the process of setting up Brandon's brand in Express. Once that's set up, I can single click here, apply brand, and it's going to change the fonts and the colors in a single click. And we can toggle through until we're happy with that template. Obviously, I'm going to make some modifications, but again, it helps us save time. I'm going to show you one more thing, since we have time, is the ability to add a text animation. Again, in a single click, you choose from popular animation styles here. We would then click up here, download, and export that. In this case, it would be an MP4 video. If we want it to be a still or a static image, we would choose PNG, JPEG. You also have the option of PDF. Finally, and then we'll be able to roll into some Q&A, I can publish this as a template. If I want to create something that maybe a friend or doing a school project with someone, they want to be able to start from this design but create their own version of it, you can create this as a template. You also, if you're collaborating with someone, you can actually invite them and share that design, and then you can actually collaborate on that design together. I feel like this is the right moment now to jump into Q&A. Sound good to you guys? I really appreciate. There are a lot of places you could be, but you decided to come and hang out with us on ceremony day of Hall of Fame, and it's been so fun to get to. So
exciting.
Yeah, it's been
Super
so
excited.
fun to get to demo this with you. Are you guys excited?
For sure.
Awesome.
While we prep, because we're putting up a microphone, and if you have a question, please go to the mic, because we're streaming. They're going to want to hear you and not, which is what they'll hear without that microphone, okay?
Good point.
Before we jump into those questions, I want Phil to speak just for a second on why is branding so important for our students? Like, why should they jump into this right now while they're still students?
Absolutely. What a good question. You're building your brand now, whether you acknowledge it or not. I gave you the ratio a second ago: content, what you say, personality, the unique way that you and only you deliver that information. There's no reason to wait. In fact, there's reason not to wait. You can be building this now, right? The opportunities are right around the corner, even if you're still a student. If you take the time to do this properly, let's not rush and get it done in one day. Certainly a platform like this is going to help you chip away at this. I think this is a marathon, not a sprint. A sprint sounds stressful, at least in the context of branding. I want you to think about the opportunities that exist and how quickly that's going to come. The best branding recreates that in-person experience. I would say the best branding is done thoughtfully. It's done in longer amounts of time, really. If it's something you can chip away at 5 minutes a day versus trying to get it done the day before graduation, that sounds stressful.
Well, and you're making those connections this week, right? You're shaking hands. This is part of the Hall of Fame experience. You got that website, you've got that social media, you've got yourself branded. When you shake someone's hand and you say, hey, I'm in audio production, this is what I do. Here's my website, right? You've got something there, you're making a statement. So I love it. All right, let's take a few questions. Please step up to the mic. We'll make a little line if you want to.
Yeah, you're welcome to make a little line, and then we
Jump
know
to it.
the order. Yeah.
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
My name is Ashley, and I'm an animation major. I'm about to graduate in a few months.
Awesome.
And so I'm trying to figure out, I want to sell art, but I also want to have a professional brand for my own animation. Is it smart to have them be the same thing, or should I have like a separate one for the art that I sell?
So my advice in this case, universally, it'll depend case by case once I know about someone's brand, but my advice universally is consolidate where possible to make your life easier. To me, those things are related. They're connected. I'm interested in your unique style or aesthetic as an artist, and I think it's kind of cool to have, for example, a website that includes the work that you do or you can be hired for on a commission basis or freelance, but also have products available. I think a case could be made either way. They could be separate, but they also, at this stage, keep your life simple and try to keep things under one roof to test, to show proof of concept. Let's say the products that you have available take off and they become, let's say the majority of the work that you're doing might be selling products or e-commerce, then you might want to lean into that more and tweak your online brand to complement the momentum that's happening in real life. That would be my advice. I'd say for now, keep it under one roof because you're in early stage of your career where we want to show people the breadth of what you're interested in, what you're passionate about, and what you're good at.
Okay. Thank
And
you
you
so
know,
much.
we all have side hustles, right?
Yeah.
That's part of being artistic. Everybody's got a side hustle. Such a
Absolutely.
good question. Thank you.
Great question.
Hi, how are you, Phil? My name is Jaden. I'm a game development student.
Awesome.
And so my question is, so basically, like, I kind of like grew up on the internet, right?
Yeah.
And now that I'm older, I realize the internet is a great place to present yourself in like a professional setting. The thing is, I don't necessarily like know how to convey myself professionally. Like, for example, I don't necessarily own a lot of suits and I'm, very casually dressed. However, I feel like I have like a great work ethic. Passion and drive, and I just kind of want to express that on the internet. And I guess my question is, like, how do I go about, changing, like, the way changing my image?
Great question. First of all, you're doing a great job. You seem very professional to me, and I think this isn't about crafting something that's different from who you are in real life. That becomes overwhelming and kind of stressful, this idea.
Does, right?
Of,
Be you, dude.
Yeah.
That's who people are going to love, you, right?
Really the art here, just to simplify it and make it manageable and feasible and possible, is think of this as achieving consistency. Whether or not you wear a suit, at least in my world, I don't care. I don't even look at resumes when I'm hiring. I talk to someone, I look at their portfolio. I couldn't care less. I mean, certainly, if you show up in like rags, then that might be an issue. I might remember that. But you don't need to be anything that you're not already today. So what you need to do is think about, how do I audit myself? How do I increase my self-awareness? Which, by the way, we all need to do, including me. That's a lifelong thing, this idea of continuing to learn and listen about ourselves, know where we're strong, sometimes know where we're challenged. I'll give an example. I'm good at doing presentations, and I think I'm good at speaking. I am terrible at managing my calendar and managing my time. Usually they assign me a wrangler during the Hall of Fame because they know without one, I'm trouble. I'm really bad at it. And so we're human. We're human, and I think reframe it. Think about this as the art of achieving consistency. You can also do some research at a very basic level, which can be as simple as asking friends, asking people around you, hey, how would you describe me in one word? How do people describe their experience of you? And that experience is different than how we know ourselves, right? I mean, I love this saying, this idea that we hear our own voice different than how others hear us, because we are in our body, we're in ourselves. And a lot of times the reason I have a job is because my clients need that outside perspective from someone who's objective, who they trust, to give that feedback. So I guess the last thing I would tell you is you're already on this journey. The way you ask the question, it indicates to me that you're curious, that you care about this perception, you care about your brand. That's awesome. That's all you need. You need to continue each day thinking about, how do I build this self-awareness? How do I identify and then position my strengths so that those gatekeepers, those opportunity providers, see those up front? I have a good feeling about you. I think it's going to be great.
Such a good question. I love it. Authenticity. I think that's something we all could say to ourselves more often, like, who am I? And how do I put that best version of myself out there?
Well put.
Right? It's really hard, but I think it's important, especially when you're branding yourself. Like,
very hard to do for yourself.
You want to be you, because that's who they're going to hire. That's who they're going to buy from, is the person that you are. So what makes you different is what sells you, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Coiro. I'm in the game design program right now. I came to this event because I wanted to learn how Adobe Express works in case I want to make my own website to show my game projects, for example.
Yeah.
I know this is a lot of graphic design heavy, so I wanted to know if this would be useful for those outside of graphic design.
Good question. It actually brings up an interesting point. I think if you're in the graphic design program, you're probably not going to be using the logo maker by Express. You're going to have some advanced skills that are going to give you the ability to design something even more awesome. However, even me, a design pro, there's a lot better pros out there than me when it comes to actually designing, but certainly I own a branding agency, so I would consider myself a design pro. Express is awesome for me because quick actions, even setting templates up for my clients and setting brands up for my clients that might be less savvy than me, I find myself hopping into Express even as a design pro to do things quickly. And even though I was resistant at first, I thought, well, this is for beginners, I don't need this. But actually, I hop into there sometimes before I go to Photoshop or before I go to another pro tool. And so I would encourage you to think, even if I'm not going to use every feature in Express, for example, if you're building a website out in detail, Express would just help at this stage with a web page, a single page. But you might think about, this would be a great tool that I can use for my clients as you start to get clients, or friends that are maybe less design savvy. If you're helping them out, you could get them set up in Express to succeed. It kind of, Express for many people I've seen, it becomes their creative hub. And so that's what I would say. It still definitely has a role for the design pro.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hi, good morning.
Good
morning, everybody.
She brought her laptop with her.
Oh, I'm actually moderating YouTube Live.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
I have a question here from Estefania Lázaro. She's one of our media communication students. Her question is, does Adobe Express have certain legal terms for logos made on the platform? For example, like Canva logos can't be used for just redistribution.
Great question. So I always like to disclaim that I'm not a lawyer. Now, Express has definitely thought about all of these things, so always read the fine print would be my advice. But yes, if you design a logo in Express, it is yours creatively. So every photo that you have access to, for example, in stock photos, for example, in Express, you have permission to use them. The only thing that gets dicey is when you're using it for commercial use. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't, but that will always be stated clearly in the fine print. So my advice would be, and it's going to be case by case depending on what she's designing and how she wants to use it, always read the fine print, but typically these tools that are democratizing these, especially with Adobe, you're going to have access and rights to own it and to use it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Hey, good morning, Phil. My name is Ben. And first, I just wanted to ask you, how happy are you today?
I am so happy. Thank you for that question. This week fills me up. It brings me so much joy. And specifically this room, how all of you were so engaged in this presentation brings me a lot of joy. Thank you for asking. Are you also happy? You're good?
I'm always happy. It's the cheerleader in me. I can't help it.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. So my real question is, not that that wasn't a real question, but my second question is, So I'm in music production, and my ultimate goal is to be, you know, like a musician, an artist, and not really to like have a business or like get hired by someone. So how can I adapt the advice that you were giving today to fit that?
Yeah, advice I've been giving a lot this week is that dream job, that career that I know you want and I know you're capable of building for yourself. It might take some time. It might not be that first position you get straight out of Full Sail. It wasn't for me. You can look at my highlight reel before I walk out on stage, or hop over to 3B where they have my big photo and all my credentials and all my, you know, bragging rights summed up. That's not the full story. It's not for any Hall of Famer that's on campus this week. That's not the full story. That doesn't list our first projects. My first project was a wholesale candle and fragrance company in Ohio. Wonderful people, but it wasn't my dream gig. But guess what? And actually my dream, in the way that you described wanting to be an artist, my dream was to be a TV host. And so I moved out to LA the day that I graduated Full Sail from Full Sail Lab. I was in this room. No, this room didn't exist. Ooh, aging myself. Literally left graduation early, walked across the stage, left graduation, went to the airport, flew to LA, wanted to pursue TV hosting. Went to my first audition that had a lineup of 100 people. And I thought, ooh, there's a lot of people that want this gig. I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent next month. I'm going to put this dream just for a second on the shelf, but I'm going to come back to it because I know I will, because I'm determined and I'm stubborn. And I thought, what practical skills, what tangible skills do I have right now that people can hire me for, that's going to give me the opportunity to build relationships, that are going to get me in the right conversations, in the right rooms, to win people's trust, and to be top of mind for those people when they need someone who understands branding, social media, whatever your tangible skills are. And years later, I mean, I would say that's come full circle now. I host my own YouTube channel and videos, and brands pay me, and it's amazing. I do it from home. Shortest commute ever, about 7 steps. So it might not be the first job. Well, how could you use a tool like this? I mean, this could set you up to be able to create designs, creative assets. You're young, you're savvy. Everyone in this room is savvy. You go to Full Sail. Your skill set, the way you communicate with your friends on social media, is a tangible skill set that you can sell to a client. Even if it's not your ideal job, fresh out of graduation, don't lose sight of that. If you put it on the shelf temporarily, you're going to come back to it. But it's a marathon, not a sprint. That's how you can use this tool. This tool that you already have access to can allow you to offer creative services, for example, to clients.
Okay, thank you.
Great question.
Welcome.
Build those connections, right? Put it on a shelf, but continue building the connections. All right, we have a few more minutes, so let's do like rapid fire questions as much as we can so we can get everybody in. We have 2 more minutes, so I mean rapid fire. No.
Yeah.
The only thing I was really gonna ask was what has helped you with your confidence throughout your career, because obviously like we all start from somewhere, and we're at that point where we're trying to find our confidence.
What has helped with my confidence? Believe it or not, I used to be terrified of public speaking. I know, my palms would sweat, but nothing could replace the feeling of how it felt after it was finished. I felt like I had just, finished a race, and so I became addicted to that adrenaline. What built my confidence was, and Full Sail really reaffirmed this, was identifying what I was passionate about and building a career around something I loved and something I would spend my time doing that I would have done even as a hobby. Something I love paired with something others need. And I want you here at Full Sail, I want you to really listen into what those passions are and give yourself permission, or I'm giving you permission, to lean into that and figure out how that can be something that you spend every minute, every day professionally doing. You will build confidence. You will be great at whatever it is you do. This is the ecosystem that is creating that. So that's the future. I mean, that's what's coming, I think, for you and for everyone here.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to have to wrap it up, but stick around for a few minutes if you have a question, because we'll still be here. Thank you all so much for coming. Thank you to our live viewers for joining us, and a giant thank you to Phil for this incredible session on branding. I learned so much today, and I'm going to go build my website again tonight from scratch. Thank you again. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of Hall of Fame.